how do you form the question? How do you become a brand that people want to be a part of? How do you become something bigger than just you? And by being able to break that down into messaging that attracts ideal clients, and I know that a lot of your VAs are also creating messaging for people
Yep.
in their businesses. I really like to be able to make it achievable with frameworks and outlines so that way you're not sitting there in your own head.
Welcome to the Rebel Energy Podcast with me, your host, Jade Ellsbury. I'm a corporate dropout and multiple six-figure online business owner. My mission is to help you get out of the 9 to 5 mindset and create a new narrative for moms working from home to gain more freedom, more income, and living your dream life by cultivating your own rebel energy. So grab a glass of wine, get comfy, and let's dig in. Hi, Rebels. Welcome back. I'm super excited to have Amy Hager here. She's an organic marketing mentor. She's also the co founder of the Content Personality Club. I've taken the quiz myself that she has, which also is going to be linked in the show notes for you guys. But she uses her years of experience and expertise to help service based business owners around the world grow businesses that they love at Joyful Business Revolution. Ooh, that was a mouthful. So much experience. She's also a fellow Iowan, just like me. So, yeah, we're super excited to have you here, Amy.
Go Iowa! Super
Yeah.
excited. Thanks for having me. I love to be able to come and talk with you about marketing and messaging. And it's so fun because we both grew up in Iowa. We both have this background of PR and journalism and everything along those lines. And now we're in similar but different roles, right? We can still tap in from what we learned in school and bring that to the table for our clients. So I love that.
Yeah, we have like I told her before, I'm like, we could go on and on for hours. I'm like, what direction do we want to go into?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So I actually really kind of started my journey as a marketer when I was about the age of 9. I used to race go-karts in Iowa, so I'd have to go around town and get sponsors to pay for tires and gas, the important things to run a little go-kart. And I've really been able to carry through that. How do you form the question? How do you become a brand that people want to be a part of? How do you become something bigger than just you? And by being able to break that down into messaging that attracts ideal clients, and I know that a lot of your VAs are also creating messaging for people
Yep.
in their businesses, I really like to be able to make it achievable with frameworks and outlines so that way you're not sitting there in your own head, because this is the worst when you just sit there and spin in your own head in the words. So I really believe that conversation and co-creation when it comes to messaging and marketing is absolutely key, because when we can be in conversation, we can better understand what is clear, what isn't clear, what we are hearing, what stories we're hearing in our head that we're not telling in a format that someone can digest and someone can really relate to. And
Hmm.
so what I'm really excited to kind of dive into with you today, Jade, is the experience that someone has when they read your content or watch your video or get your DM or receive your email, because a lot of times we get so focused on what we are saying, we
Yeah.
forget that we need to give them an experience. So we'll
Yeah.
dive in a little bit today into the psychology of messaging and the 6 pieces that you need to really promote yourself as the expert in what you do. But the one piece where all of this is based off of, and you had said the content personality quiz, take a few seconds and take that quiz and find out what your content personality type is. And then I challenge you, create in that type when you're marketing and messaging for your business and when you're doing sales conversations. So a lot of times we force ourselves to create in ways that are not our strengths.
Yeah.
And we may be good at it, but it's
Yeah.
not our superpower.
Yeah. I love that so much. And, really looking at the way you want to make other people feel. And I feel like even for me, when I first started as a virtual assistant, all I was really worried about was myself and getting a client. And so when I have my clients come into Rebel Energy Academy, I'm like, let's break this down. If you're going in the minds or into the DMs with the mindset of like, I'm just looking for a client versus I'm actually looking to help someone. And I think too, and I'm super guilty of this, where it's like, I think the longer I do this, right? I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. Believe me, trust me.
Yeah,
And when I'm in the DMs, I've really had to take a step back, and be really self-aware of, okay, am I actually listening to what they're saying? Because I think a lot of
right.
times, especially with all the experience that we have, right? We want to like prove ourselves and be like, hey, look at this, look at these
Yes.
results. But
Yes.
we need to really listen. And I know you're gonna go into the psychology of that as well
Yeah.
too. But yeah. So do you want to kind of break that down of the different messaging types?
Yeah, totally. So, and one thing just to add about that proving energy that you're in, you never want to prove anything.
Yep.
You need to be in conversation. And so that conversation piece is what's really, really key. So, all right, when you are in conversation, there are 5 ways to really be in conversation with somebody. And that's what the results will be from your content personality quiz. So I'm just going to show for those of you that are able to see us live, I want to share a wheel so that way you have that visual. And so you're one of 5. You're not all 5 of these, and you may be able to do all 5, but I challenge you to double down on whatever your result is and see how creating is different for you. So, the video content personality type, the essence is your energy of just showing up is what people are attracted to. So, you don't need to bounce off other people, you don't need pretty graphics. You can explain things really well on your own by making eye contact and really using your own body language. Your audio content personality type is the person who's going to be at the other end of the phone when you are calling the cable company because you're super upset that they raised your rates again, and they calm you down and they really work through the solution with you. So it's your voice that enrolls people into what you're talking about, and it's that energy that in your voice is what they can really connect with. Your written content personality type is that someone who writes, and when you write things and people read them and they react and they engage with you, it's the written word that you create that people love. Your visual content personality type is a little bit of a wild card in the sense that there's so many visual things that it could be. It could be having photo images, it could be hand-drawn graphics, it could be infographics that you're creating in Canva, but there needs to be something visual with you as you walk through and explain things. So if you are on sales calls and you're just doing them over the phone or on Zoom, I encourage you, if you're a visual content personality type, utilize something visual in that conversation because it's going to help them connect deeply with you. And then if you're live in person, content personality type, it is the energy of the other person that you feed off of, that you connect to really help them see and enroll in what you're talking about. And so I'm a live in person, so doing conversations like we're doing here today, if this was a show that was just done with no screens on and our Zoom, you would just have those stupid little Zoom icon people thingies,
Mhm.
my energy is not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And so that also means speaking from the stage and going doing workshops work really, really well for me. But maybe an audio or written video or visual person, that's not going to be what lights them up. So really tap into that super strength of yours when you are having conversations, when you are creating marketing and messaging, and really let that superpower strength of yours shine. And I say, let the rest go and see how that plays out for you. See if you enjoy it more, see if you get better results from it, and just play with it for about 90 days and see what really fits for you, because what works well for me as a live in person person may not work well for the next live in person person. So you do have to find your own thing. And when you take the quiz, you do get a guide that has some suggestions of, different ways to utilize your content personality type. And so when we think about the experience
Mhm.
of our content personality type, that's where we're going to dive into the psychology of messaging. And so when you are creating a piece of content, and content can be something that you're using social media, that you're using in your email, content is even when you're doing, one-to-one DMing or having conversations with people. We're constantly in content creation mode. I want you to think through the experience that you're creating for somebody to have with you. You're not creating content, you're not creating a presentation, you are creating an experience. And when we think about things as experiences, that slows us down, it gets us in our heart so that we can actually show up in service and really have real conversations with people,
Mhm.
because people buy from people. It's
Yep.
that human to human interaction of what people love about what you do and who you are and what you're about that really attracts them. There's a million different, service providers out there for, social media or for, calendar booking or assistant type positions. But what it really is going to be is the right fit, human to human, is going to what makes that an ideal client and makes it an ideal situation. But the only way for them to feel your humanness is to give them an experience. So that's where we start when we dive into the psychology of messaging. I'm going to share another screen with you for those of you that are watching this on video. If you're listening and this is really, really hard for you to follow, I suggest you press pause, maybe come back, watch it on YouTube. But there is a little bit of a visual component to help you put this together. And so we're starting at the top of our psychology of messaging of creating that experience. When someone experiences us, they go into the subconscious decision making. And when you're in subconscious decision making, that is your brain just like intuitively making decisions for you. And it also competes with the begillion and one things that you have on your to-do list. So did I return that email? What am I making for dinner? What time do I got to pick up the kids? Did I actually wash my hair today? All of those things that pop up subconsciously in our mind that take up space, any experiences that we're having with content or with reach outs or anything along those lines is going to get mixed into that big pot. And so when you're creating an experience where someone can say, wow, I feel like this person is really talking to me, or geez, I really agree with this person. I love what they're saying. Or, wow, this is something that my mom or my friend or my business bestie needs to hear about. When you can connect that deep to one person's heart with an experience, you're getting them out of that subconscious decision making and into an emotional making response. And that's what we need them to do when they're having experiences with us. And so, if your DMs aren't giving somebody the opportunity to really connect deeply with you, or if your social media content or your email is not giving someone that opportunity to really have an experience to get out of that subconscious decision making and into the emotional response of the process, you're you're kind of wasting time and energy, both for yourself and for this person. So really slow down and think about that experience. And so I feel like your messaging is only working well if you get a, "Oh, yeah, I'm all about this," or, "Mm-mm, this is not for me." If
Mm.
you're not getting one of those 2 responses, it is too vague and you're not connecting to the hearts of somebody. So you want that emotional response of, "Yes, this is something I like. This is something for me. This is something I believe in. This is something that I feel is true," or, "No, this really isn't for me. This isn't speaking to my heart. I'm gonna move on." Every once in a while you do get that, well, I agree with this, but I did forget to send that email, so I need to go back to do that. And so every once in a while you'll get like a half yes, and then they have to run away and go do something, but don't worry, they'll be back if they like and trust you enough. And once they move from that, yes, I agree, this is for me, this speaks to my heart, I know somebody that can utilize this, we need to feed people how to take action. And you need to make it really stinking simple, because if I have to make one more decision today, I'm not going to make it.
Yep.
And so, Jade, there's a lot of different actions that people can take. It's, reply back to this email, maybe comment on something below, asking a question, a very laser focused question, so that it's a response, not just a yes or a no, or so pie in the sky that it's such a vague question that it doesn't even seem like it was meant for me.
Mhm.
And so when we get people taking action, that's when they stick around in our energy and they want to continue to experience us. And sometimes that take action is to enroll in working with you, to come to your workshop, to purchase your course or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But we really need to make the taking action very clear and very simple for somebody once they feel emotionally connected to you.
Online service providers, are you ready for 10K months? Over the past 5 years, I have helped 1,000 women not only start their VA businesses, but also scale 2 consistent 10K plus months. Whether it's OBMs, SMMs, VA agencies, myself and my team of coaches can help you dream bigger and achieve more. If you're needing a one-on-one coaching program customized to help you scale sustainably, send me a DM at Rebel Energy Coaching on Instagram saying scale. Yeah, I love that. And one thing that I teach too, because I see this all the time with me, is they'll just like go and drop their calendar link. I'm like, no, no, no. Make it stupid simple. Offer them a time
Yeah.
and go and book that in for them. Because again, right, we're super busy. And in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, I have the link, I'll do it later. And then it just
It
becomes
never
something
happened.
they never do. And then you feel like that annoying, nagging person constantly having to follow up with them. Like, did you do this yet?
Right? And I think by making that personal invitation too, to a time,
Mhm.
you wanna make that feel as friendly as it is if I was gonna invite you out to dinner.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't send my friend a calendar link invite and say, "Hey, book what day this week works well for you to do dinner with me."
Yeah.
I would say, "Hey, does Wednesday work at 5 o'clock for dinner?" And then have that conversation. And by slowing down that human to human connection process,
Mhm.
we're giving people the chance to really experience us. We're giving them the chance to buy from a human and not just a robot, because none of us are robots.
Yep.
And we're really giving them the chance to see who we are and connect deep with us so that we both can really rock it out together and be rock stars together.
Yeah. And obviously I have people that are in my DMs. I have way too many to go through them by myself, but that's one thing that I can't see myself ever fully getting out of. I love popping in the DMs or if I see someone message me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard from you in a long time. And I'll go in and like send a voice note. And I actually get people that are like, I can't believe which is so weird to me because I'm like, it's me. Um,
Right.
they're like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much for sending a voice note. I can't believe that you're sending me a voice note. And that's because they have so many people again, right? Where their business is just a little bit too automated where maybe they can tell it's
Yes.
not the actual person behind
Right.
the scenes. Um,
Right.
and so, for VAs, right, that they're like, well, I don't want to hear that because like I want to be in the DMs for my ideal client, just making sure that you are basically being a carbon copy of the person that you're gonna be, in the DMs with, and, I
Yeah.
have my DM setters or, like, my VA that are in there, they'll be like, "Hey, this person shared something," and this is how I've, like, trained them, and you let me know your thoughts on this, but, if they're sharing something that's, like, really personal, um,
Right.
they'll be like, "Hey, can you go send this person a voice note?"
Yeah.
Um, or, if they listen to my podcast and they know about like my, background and my experience with like my marriage and things like that. They're like, "Hey, um, like this is super personal. I can't relate to this. Can you go pop in the DMs quick?" I'm like, "Yes, I
Yeah.
will." So,
And I think that's really important too, to make sure that you have those conversations, right? Like the one person that I work with, her role is to get people into our Facebook group. Her role is to welcome them, and her role is to make sure that they take the quiz.
mhm,
And once that happens, then I take over from there. And I really explore how and what do I want to be in community with this person.
mhm,
And, I think by slowing it down again and focusing on quality over quantity is really key. Any marketing campaign or any company that we've ever seen do something really well, it's because they did it better. And then maybe they did it more. But you don't start out with more. More is never better. Better is always better, especially when it comes to marketing.
mhm.
Um, so one other thing that I kind of want to explore with you today is speaking of campaigns that we've seen be really, really successful,
Yeah.
been able to really identify, thank goodness one. My business partner at the Joyful Business Revolution is a geek and loves research and loves diving into data and dissecting things and all of that. And so what we really did is we spent some time looking at successful campaigns for online service providers, for larger corporations and companies, and we really looked at the words that they were saying, the messaging that was getting out there, and we found that there were 6 categories that were really, really key to have a well-rounded messaging ecosystem.
Mhm.
And what I find when I talk about these 6 categories is a lot of times people are only doing 1 or 2 of these, and they don't really consider all 6. And so as I'm going through these categories, what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, am I doing this? Am I creating this type of content or this type of experience for my audience and my followers? And if not, let's put that in the subcategory of something that this could be good to add in the future. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with all 6. Add 1 at a time, get really good at it. Again, better is better, and then bring on another piece. But
Okay.
the 6 pieces that we have really found is 1, you need mission-driven content that really helps grow your community and grow your audience.
Mhm.
The second piece is connection content, and this really shows who you are as a person. Because again, we're buying from humans. We're not buying from robots. So who are you as a person? And a really good example of this for the Joyful Business Revolution is me and my business partner. Our lifestyle values. One of the highest one is travel, and also really great food experiences.
Mhm.
We share a lot of those on our personal feeds. A majority of our clients love to travel and love food. And so we have retreat offers at culinary resorts where we mastermind, but we also get to learn how to cook delicious food. We're going to go to Italy, tour a pasta mill. We'll be
Oh my
in
goodness.
Mexico. Yeah. And
Do I
so
sign up?
that's been that's been like a 3rd or 4th generation of what offer can we offer our foodie travel lovers? But because we share so much food and travel content, that's who we're attracting, and that has really aligned our business for us.
Mhm.
So don't be scared to show people who you are. You don't have to show them everything. If you have kids and you don't want to show anything about your kids, don't show anything about your kids. Show
Yeah.
the things that you're really comfortable with, that you have to give something for people to connect to.
Yeah.
All right, so our third piece of content that we're seeing that you need to have is sharing your stance. And that's really sharing your thoughts about the industry. And a good example for our brand is we believe you are your best marketer. You are your best messenger. You cannot hire someone to create messaging for you. When you create really good messaging, then you can hire someone to help you get it out into the world.
Mhm.
But especially as a service provider, like that messaging needs to come from your heart and soul, your bigger why. And we also believe that you don't need to be using ads. Until your organic marketing is working, you are wasting money on ads.
We
And so,
just started ads this year.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. But also, like I've seen
It's
you
been
over
5 years. Yeah.
that time getting your messaging right.
Yeah.
And so, again, those are thoughts about our industry that we really stand for. So sharing your stance is really, really important.
Mhm.
And then the fourth piece that we see is the reverse thought reversal content. And this is super fun content to create from those people who come up and say, oh, well, I thought you did this, or don't you do this? Or
Mhm.
even sometimes when you're in those sales conversations or even client conversations, and they say something kind of off the wall, and I'm like, no, that is not what we do. And so utilizing those conversations to create content like that or experiences that really changes the thoughts of how people perceive you and how they see what you do in this world. Another part of thought reversal content could be I could do a whole series about reversing the thought of buying Facebook ads before your organic marketing is working.
Mhm.
And that would be a really deep series, and that would probably ruffle some feathers, but it is something that, we frequently do. So the easiest place though is go to your clients, your potential clients, and when they say, "Oh, I thought you did this," use that as content. It's really great fuel. Um, Number 5 is your thought leader content. And again, this is really sharing your expertise in the industry and really showing how deep you are as a human instead of how wide you are as a human. So go deep. This is also a great chance to talk about client results and and celebrating those situations together. And then the last piece is the direct offer content. You do need to tell people what kind of services you offer.
Yep.
So it's a blend of all six of those, not just one. And so for those of you who are listening, I'm kind of curious. Out of the six, mission driven, connection content, share your stance content, thought reversal content, thought leader and client result content, and then direct offer content. Which one of those six do you think you're doing really, really well right now? Because we need to celebrate that. And then think about which one of those six will be the easiest for you to start bringing into your mix. And
Mhm.
that's the first step of this. Try that for 90 days and then go back to it, pick another one, bring that sucker in for the next 90 days, and you'll really start to see a more robust content creation and robust experiences for people to be having with you.
Mhm. I love the reversal, and I didn't even know that there was a name for it,
A
but
label for it? I know, right?
yeah, but, like, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we do that, we talk about that," because one thing that I get all the time, because everyone knows me as, like, well, it was Rock Salt Academy, now it's Rebel Energy Academy, like, REA, but they know me as, like, a BA coach for beginner to intermediate. I'm like, "No, that's my entry point," but I'm like, they don't know that, oh, yeah, like, Jade has actually helped, multiple VAs, like, pivot or scale their VA business
Right.
and get them like 15K months, or, they don't see like the business coach. So we've actually started to like sprinkle that in there of like, yes, that is the entry point for like the ascension model, but did you know that like you can work exclusively with Jade as well too to like scale it once. But again, like what you were saying, I love, and I was actually like muted and typed. So if you guys are watching the video, I'm typing notes because I'm like, ooh, this is great. Like you're giving me content ideas, but the not
Right.
paying for the ads until your organic marketing is working. I can't tell you how many VAs, like, I'm having a conversation with them in the DMs. I don't have any clients yet, and then I'm, like, scrolling on Instagram, and, like, one of their ads pops up, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's such a waste of money," because I'm like,
Right.
you don't even know, like, you just told me in the DMs, like, you don't even know who your ideal client is. You don't even know what
Right.
you're offering.
How can you pay for content then?
Mhm. Yep. So
Ugh.
it's kind of, yeah, so anyways, there's a few different little things, like, as you were talking where I'm like, I totally agree with that, or wow, like, we're doing that already. But yeah, I didn't know there was, like, different categories for it. So I'm just a
Yeah.
big believer of, like, whatever I hear in the DMs or, like, something that I hear multiple times, I'm like, "We need to create a piece of content about that if it keeps, resurfacing."
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that we do, we have the content personality club. And so that's really to help people who want to utilize email as part of their marketing strategy. And one of the key things that we find with creating emails is yes, you have the ones that are like in your nurture sequences that kind of run in the background, right? But it's how can you create content of things that you're hearing right now and things that are very timely and have a framework to make sure that you sound like you know what you're talking about. And it's not just a word vomit or a rant. And the other thing, too, I think that's really important in your content creation is yeah, we don't need to constantly beat people up with pain, but how do we really help them see the hope and prosper of things? And we call that kind messaging. And so by really utilizing an email list, which is someone who gives you permission to speak to them. But some of the scaries that come up is people get so much spam in their email. They're like, I don't want to be spamming people. And if you're really creating those thoughtful conversations, those thoughtful opportunities for them to engage with you, you're not spamming. And if you're getting a lot of spam in your inbox, unsubscribe from it. We don't need you to write that story in your head that you're just going to be a part of that spam because you're not. I know you're going to be more thoughtful. And by utilizing these six things, um, I think that will really help you be a little bit more clear on how to create experiences to take people through that messaging psychology so that you can build those deeper relationships.
Yeah. I'm just listening to you and I'm like, I already know, like, but I'm like over here typing ideas. I'm like, ooh, that's a great content topic. For my audience as well too. So no, I love that so much, Amy. Thank you. So before we wrap up today, how can people get a hold of you? Do you have any like specials that you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so definitely head on over to the Joyful Business Revolution. You can find us there. I'm on Facebook, Amy AMY Hager Hager. You can totally find me. If you're listening to this and you're like, "Wow, I really want to come and co-create every month content with Amy, in her content personality club." I would love for any of the listeners to join us, and we are able to offer a $500 discount. And so, if any of you are interested in coming on board with the Content Personality Club, it is $300 a month for 12 months. We create a new piece of messaging every single month. So, you don't need to think about the strategy, you don't need to think about the words. We're going to do that together. If you use the code JOY, so JOY,
Mhm.
500 PP, all caps, that's gonna take $500 off for the $300 a month plan. So we would love to have you come co-create with us.
Yes, I know that there's so many people like I just don't even have time to create my own content. So it's gonna be so, so useful. Thank you so much for your time today, Amy. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Always so much fun.
Yes.